Today is week 3, day 12 of the general chapter. We had a very interesting day today because it looked like we were going to spend pretty much the whole day working our way through proposals and postulata that are in Working Document C. So we spent the morning in small groups, both before and after the break, and we worked our way particularly through the third section, which is on restructuring. Then in the afternoon, something surprising happened. Somebody had raised the question about things that are being left unspoken at the chapter. So the moderators took a session and opened it up and provided a microphone that would allow people to just say whatever they wanted to say. And that made for an interesting session because people said what they wanted to say. There was a lot of energy in what was being said. There was a lot of concern about some of the bigger issues. Where is restructuring going? How are we going to identify the mission and the priorities? What is this going to mean for example, the structures of the general government? How are we going to implement these things that we get at from the chapter, and on and on. I was listening to several of the conferers after this session, and one of them said, well, every once in a while we reach a point of frustration and we just need to vent. And somebody else said, well, it was a time of catharsis where we just have to kind of cut loose and vent a little bit. And a third one spoke up and said, well, you know, if people had read the whole working document, they would have found most of what they'd said already in Part B. But it shows how these themes pop up over and over again, and it was good to air them at the chapter, and how we will deal with them is, of course, left in the hands of the moderators. But then when we went back to work in the small groups, and we started to work on more of the issues of postulata and proposals, we then moved on to the plenary where we started to vote on the main things that were on our plate from the second part of Working Document C, namely renewed mission. And we went through a number of proposals and postulata and various alternatives, and we voted some in and we voted some down. What was very interesting was at the end of the day, a very tired group of men started to move to the first section on renewed hearts. And we pretty much had to wait until the moderators kind of caught up with themselves, because they were ready to vote and get this thing over with, and we hadn't even had the plenary discussion yet. So with a big smile, they modified their pathway and we went back to work. So it was an interesting day, but you can feel the tiredness in the delegates to the chapter. I think the nitty-gritty events are, they are simply demanding. But I did hear one thing that really kind of resonated with me today, and that was that in our small groups, that's where we are finding our energy, our time to discuss, our time to put things out on the table, and then of course those things are shared with the plenary. But it seems to me that that's where we're really getting our voices heard, and it's doing a lot of good work. And tonight we are closing the day with a 1-hour BBC Northern Ireland documentary on Father Alex Reid, who was the rather famous Irish priest, Irish Redemptorist priest, who became a kind of a mediator during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. And so he was one of the ones that helped them to move from sectarian violence into a time of peace, and a negotiated peace that is holding pretty well to this day. So it's been quite a day, and we thank God for the gift of the Spirit this day. And what the moderators will do with all that they've learned, well, we'll find out. Stay tuned.